I'm live, but am I? Am I? Because sometimes I've been informed that LinkedIn takes a hot second. So what you're actually seeing is nothing. Wow. So like you may have just heard me say nothing, but you didn't hear any of the nonsense babble before that. But since there's no one watching the feed right now, I'm going to feel okay in my madness and my lunacy. Hey, it's Friday afternoon. I've been on videos a couple times today talking about stuff, talking about news, talking about the what's what. But I did not want to end my week without sharing what I did this week. I mean, because I know how y'all sit on pins and needles wondering what airport I visited and what any of the services were like. Maybe I should just start doing live streams about that, being like, hey, was just in the Salt Lake City airport and they do not have any good nut store with dried fruit, but Denver sure does. I can do that review every week. And then we can talk to other analysts about what their favorite airport services are. We would all talk about our least favorite airport services in the city of Las Vegas. But then that kind of feels mean for McCarran because most of us actually enjoy leaving, like going through McCarran. It's a whole kit and caboodle. Okay, I'm babbling and I want to be done with this because it's Friday afternoon and you guys deserve to not have to sit here all afternoon with me. So let's talk 8x8, not 8 times 8, like one of the ushers at Southampton St. Mary's Arena thought that their communications partner was named, which I thought was actually kind of cute because he kept calling it 8 times 8. Eight times 8 is so much fun. Oh, we love seeing that 8 times 8 is here supporting us. And we're like, it's 8x8, don't you? And then he looked at us and went, oh, I'm pretty sure he's still going to call it 8 times 8. But I'll tell you this. The people of Southampton absolutely love their support and love their soccer team. So why shouldn't they call it whatever they darn well please? Because you know what? They see them as a partner and part of the family. So it was fun being invited into that environment and getting to spend a little time with the 8x8 team at the Analyst Summit this past week. Got to see my friends and family in the world of CCAS and UCAS and CPAS. Please feel free to look up all of that acronyms later. I'm not going to explain them what they are. I don't even know what time zone it is. So there is no way I'm giving those definitions today, but I did want to give you some updates on kind of what I got to see and what I was thinking about it. So 8x8 had an awful lot of announcements that went out this week, a couple new products, a couple new solutions, a couple new updates that I think are important to share. One of them that I'm honestly the most excited about, both as someone who covers contact center, someone who covers customer service and communications from kind of a large level, but quite frankly, as a marketer as well, and as a CMO as well, I'm kind of going to come at this from that vantage point and that broader customer experience vantage point for a second. When we talk about the capacity to deliver, whether it's SMS, MMS, text messages, okay, let's just boil it down. When it comes to our ability to do that, we need to have the right communication service to be able to deliver those things. A lot of times that's kind of a point to multi-point message system. So it's the times you want to send out the coupon. It's the time you're sending out the blast. But much like email and much like that capacity to do that one message to a bunch of different people, we've seen a lot of sophistication in that communication type really grow up so that you're really not just looking at a person texting another person, or the capacity, say, for your contact center to be able to communicate with your customers in that text channel that is so important to your mobile customer. They want to communicate with you where they are, not necessarily only in the channel where you might be available. So the capacity to offer that texting ability as part of your communication strategy has become wildly important in this day and age. And 8x8 has really addressed that, not just by their rich communication services or RCS services, but they also have 8x8 has introduced new RCS support in what they are calling their RCS business messaging services. Now, yes, this is going to be a text-based messaging service, which is awesome. You can go back and forth with your customer, but it's also super personalized. And so for marketers, for CMOs out there, I want you guys to think about this. I want you guys to go look at this, because this is not just something that's just going to sit in the contact center in isolation. It shouldn't. This should be considered part of your overarching customer engagement strategy, especially if you're looking at mobile. Because instead of just sending out that Hey, I'm whatever brand. I'm just going to pick on a brand that sends me a whole lot of text messages. Print Fresh. I love you guys. I love you guys. And I love your pajama bottoms. I love you all the time. I promise. I'm a huge fan. But I can't deal with every day getting a new text message about pajama bottoms or different type of shirt or dress that I don't wear. I get your pajama bottoms. That's literally all I buy. So imagine now being able to send out those hyper personalized messages, pulling from those branded assets, pulling from a video, an image, sending that out within the color family, the print family, everything that I would normally want to see because you know me, your customer, sending that out in text and then giving me the option, hey, did you want to order this in a specific size? Did you want to see this in a different color? And having me be able to interact with an immersive button that says, yeah, let me see that in a different color. Yes, let me take a look at that. Yes, I'd like a 10% off discount. Yes, I'd like this shipped to my home. Or no, I'd like to go try this on in a store. What's the closest store to me? And having that whole immersive AI experience unfold through my mobile device in my text messages and in the messaging program of my preference. That's what we're talking about here, right? So it's this closed loop, two-way communication. It really has dynamic content. It can be using video. You can provide shared text, images. There could be carousels. There could be different calls to action that are included in these messages. It has the analytics and the insights too on the back end of it. So that's also really important to point out. I really liked this introduction because, again, this isn't just about the capacity to message someone about support or message someone or have that two-way mobile text message conversation that becomes a little bit isolated in a service setting. Even this type of rich communication, even just for service, even just for contact center, is a tremendous upgrade. But imagine beyond, imagine across total experience, just how contextual you can be in this type of individualized communication. Don't hang on to the word personalization because, especially for you females out there, we get how exhausting it is. Like I get the eye roll that comes from it. I roll from it. I'm tired, right? But this is about messaging where and how and when. This brings, remember that old chestnut of precision marketing? Shout out to my dear friend who has passed, Lee Gallagher, and also his partner in crime, Sandra Zorati, for bringing this stuff up. But many years ago, decade ago, we were talking about precision marketing, right message, right time, right person, right place, right device, being able to have that. This is finally the ability to bring precision messaging, precision marketing, precision engagement right to the context and the individual, that keyed in message, so that you are turning a promotion into a bi-directional conversation. Think of that. Think of that. So this is a really, really cool offering. I really liked it. I think it's a great introduction. It is single API support for all of your digital channels. You can manage SMS, WhatsApp, Viber, voice, other channels through the single 8x8 CPaaS platform. Please go ask your head of operations or whoever handles your communication services to explain if they do or do not have a CPaaS platform. If they do not have a CPaaS platform, ask them why. We can have that conversation later. Just, hit me up. You know where to get me, Liz K. Miller on Twitter, or, liz@constellationr.com. I'll help you explain it. I just can't do it on a Friday afternoon. I love you guys, but not right now. But definitely a great announcement. It was really one of the highlight announcements for me. I'm not going to lie. Because again, it brings together so many of those threads, communications, engagement, that capacity to drive that bi-directional experiential conversation. I thought it was terrific. They also announced Journey IQ, which really gives a very comprehensive view of communications touch points that your customers are going through, along with the analytics, and also the points at which that communication or that conversation starts to turn conversations either positive or negative. It's either turning towards an immediate resolution of a short-term problem, but it expands out and actually starts to see, okay, hey, wait a minute, you solved this problem, but as the conversation went on, another issue might arise. Or as an email then was added to this process, this is where things could go wrong. So it really looks at an interaction journey as related to a customer. So I think a lot of times when we think about journeys, we think about the journey that we want to create and that we want a customer to go through. Or like, that's how we think about it in marketing, right? In contact center, we think about it as what blocks, what leaps and bounds did we ask our customer to go through to get to the point at which they got their question, their problem, their issue answered? Did they make the sale? Did they resolve that question? Did they resolve that problem? We call that the journey. This normalizes both of those journeys, both of those approaches. So you can actually begin to see where those touches begin to connect and where the interaction point, when you sent something to a customer replied in a certain way, they then responded by doing this, they then called, they then bought, they then pushed, they then clicked. It's about connecting all of the interaction points into a thread that becomes an ongoing conversation. And that's the thing I really want to touch on as one of my key takeaways from the 8x8 Analyst Summit. Yes, there were some really great news announcements. Journey, absolutely one of them. 8x8 Engage, it is a right-sized and packaged tool for folks who are in a non-traditional contact center role. So think of someone who sits in finance that might be doing some outbound calling, someone who sits in sales who's also doing some outbound calling. They can use Engage. They got one heck of an outbound dialer. I was asked to say that by Sam Wesland, but here's the thing, I actually believe it's a pretty damn good outbound dialer. So there. But with a tool like Engage, you have a right-sized tool for someone who needs that visibility, the actionability, the data, the insights, the intelligence that comes through this contact center pane, but without the contact center tooling, right? You don't need everyone to have the same agent interface, the same dashboard, the same tools, the same interfaces, the same scripts, the same knowledge center that a true contact center agent needs. They deserve that sophisticated tooling. They deserve that telemetry. They deserve that information, that data. Someone who is sitting in marketing and maybe doing, needs to be on peak level calling for a retail environment if there's a lot of questions or there are a lot of returns around a launch, and you're the one helping from that scenario, you don't need the whole contact center seat sitting on your system, right? You need something that's right-sized for the job at hand, and Engage really does that. So there's a lot of really nice new Teams handoffs, a lot of new digital channel handoffs, omni-channel support that's come from that. But I really like the Engage product. I've been a big fan of it since its introduction. And I think that it is one of those right-sized tools for a non-traditional engagement center, in the same way that I think like something like Adobe Express is a right-sized tool for the non-traditional engagement center. You don't need all of Creative Cloud. You just need the capacity to create that great image. And I want you guys to think of it this way. Here, I'm going to put this together. Okay. Think of folks who are in the contact center who don't need that whole big Creative Cloud situation. They need Adobe Express. So when they are doing those real-time, omni-channel, bi-directional, new, rich media text message campaigns that they can be doing through 8x8, they can drop in branded video content that's coming right from your digital asset manager. They can update it so it makes sense for that customer, for that customer's product suite, for whatever the customer's favorite color, whatever the contact center agent knows about that person, they can update that in Express, drop it right into that text message that's now super personalized, super contextual. They're going to do that because they have a right-sized tool for their role. Adobe Express is the right-sized tool for the role. In the same way that someone who's sitting in marketing, who's handling those types of social service scenarios, they don't need the full service desk. They need something like 8x8 Engage because it's a right-sized tool that fits the job and the work at hand, but not necessarily the functional demands that someone in the contact center is going to be looking at. So there's my tip for the day. Those are the two things to look at. I get really excited about that. So yes, there was a lot of news, but there's something else I really want to talk about when it comes to 8x8's Analyst Summit. I think a lot of organizations in the contact center and a lot of vendors who sell in the contact center have been through massive, massive change and massive fluctuation, even just in something like the move to cloud, right? The shift from being a traditional contact center vendor who sold on-prem, maybe they sold some cloud services, maybe they had a hybrid environment, to someone who's decided to be a cloud native, all cloud environment, and really having to push in that sales motion and really push into that work motion, right? And I think a lot of these organizations have seen the highs and the lows of what happens in adoption curves, right? When everyone moves to the cloud, when everyone had to move to the cloud, when everyone had to move to remote work environments, you saw this massive boom that was just like, I'm going to sit here and supersize orders through the McDonald's takeout window of how many seats do you want of your brand new shiny CCAS, right? Oh, you want UCAS that delivers internal communications that connects all of your employees so they're not picking up a phone, they're bringing their own device. It literally, like, did you want a medium or a large fry with your order? We were just supersizing orders. And I think that when that boom started to shift, you saw a lot of organizations begin to kind of have that panic motion of like, oh my God, what shiny thing are we going to chase? What are we going to do? Let's go build all this new stuff. AI, squirrel. There is a frankness and an honesty and, quite frankly, a really clear message from 8x8 CEO, Sam Wilson, Samuel, very formal, that I wish more organizations could authentically and earnestly replicate. But I'm going to be honest, they can't. Why can't they? Because not everyone's Sam, right? It comes down to him as a person. I've gotten a chance to spend time with the man. I have spoken with him. We have, listen, and Sam, when Sam watches this, he will be nodding and he can feel free to take a picture, a video of him having this reaction. So get ready, Sam, get ready to hit record. Sam and I have had so many conversations where we have violently agreed, we have violently disagreed, we have pushed back on one another, we've challenged each other's thinking, we've challenged the status quo of where we believe each other is in their thinking about all sorts of different topics. But the thing I will never challenge about Sam Wilson is his honesty and his frankness and the candor with which he speaks to a room full of not just seasoned analysts. The thing you guys have to understand about my colleagues in this space, they aren't just seasoned, they built this space, literally, right? Analysts like Sheila McGee-Smith, Sheila will forget more about the contact center than I will ever learn in my career. That is how deeply she knows this space, but it's also how deeply she cares about this space. Okay, so you've got a group of people like John Arnold and Dave Michaels and Blair Pleasant and Nancy. Honestly, the caliber of analysts and just the passion these folks have for the contact center and for communications. I'm speaking directly to you, buddy, right? These are people who care deeply about these markets. And it is a hard room to stand in front of. I've never seen anything like it, right? I have been in lots and lots of different analyst sessions, and I have watched executives getting up in front of us and tap dance and do the whole dog and pony sparkle show. And I have watched them get just mowed down like weak blades of grass in these rooms, right? Because this isn't just knowledge, this is knowledge with a heap of passion from all of my colleagues. Yet Sam Wilson stands in front of this group every single year and tells us the truth. He tells us the truth about the business. He tells us the truth about the road forward and the roadmap. And he empowers his team to do even more. He empowers them to show us bumps and bruises, plus and minus, successes and failures. He empowers his team to do it and to be honest about it and to keep moving forward in that candor and honesty. And there are not many CEOs out there that I'd come on to a live video stream and say that about, right? But Sam's one of them. And here's the message that he shared. And I share this with you verbatim because I think it's a pretty important message for everyone in the communication space to hear. For a long time, 8x8 has been on an apology tour. Okay. It has been on one of those kind of public, hey, we may have made some mistakes. Hey, we didn't really see that. Oh, we didn't really do that. It's been a couple years now that 8x8 has been on an apology tour. They've recently undergone a rebrand. It looks slick. It's hot. It focuses intentionally on the customer. But here's the message I'm going to share from Sam. 8x8 is on offense. And I know that sounds like what a lot of other CEOs would say, but the reason why I shared my opinion about Sam's character and about where I think that then leads 8x8's culture is that it's not a platitude. It's not even a threat, because that's not how 8x8's playing. It's more of a warning. And I think it's a warning to anyone who expects 8x8 to continue playing the apology game, to continue to behave as if they're continuously catching up, right? Like they somehow missed the boat. In fact, they've kind of been ahead of the boat, right? When you think about that idea of, hey, communications should all be on a platform, whether it's unified communications or contact center communications, it's communications and it's people communicating with people. Why are we acting like that's not the case? That's what everyone's saying now. But 8x8 was saying that perhaps a little ahead of its, I don't know, permission time? I mean, I don't know. Some of my colleagues who have been in the space much longer than I would be able to tell you that, and they'd be able to tell you that history. But I think we'd all agree that when Sam Wilson says we are on offense, it means watch out. It means they're serious. It means they're going to stop apologizing at the start of every single meeting or every single sentence. They're here. They've got solid solutions. I wouldn't put them on a short list if I didn't think that. But what I'm really excited to see is what happens when that offense explodes out of the gate. That's going to be fun to watch, because the way their teams think, the way Hunter and Dewani and Lisa, listen, the whole team, having spent the last 2 days with them, seeing where they're thinking, seeing where they're challenging, and seeing where they are okay with a room full of crusty users like myself, poking every single hole we can try to imagine into their system that they are building, and that they are building purposefully and intentionally on top of interaction data. The fact that they are all willing to sit there and let us poke the living hell out of their baby. Wow, that says an awful lot about the team. So with that, thanks, guys. Thanks for letting us come in. Thanks for letting me come in. Thanks for letting us maybe say some things that felt a little harsh at times, but also thanks for giving us some insight into where the road heads for you guys. It's going to be one hell of a year. And let me tell you, when you hear some of the news that I got to hear that was under NDA about some partnerships that may or may not happen, it's going to be one hell of a ride. I can't wait to see it. So, to Sam, to Bruno, to the entire AR team, John, everyone on the 8x8 team, thank you so much for hosting me in Southampton. Thanks for getting me to a soccer match. I haven't been on the pitch for a long time. For those of you who got to see me reinvent the Southampton tunnel run, little vim and vigor, guys. We need to see this. I'm going to leave you with this one statement, because I've already been rambling for 24 minutes, and Danny Hunter at Adobe says that I talk for too long on days. Hey, Danny. But here's what I want to say. When you let your customers come and talk to this room full of analysts, take a page from 8x8. Because here's what I walked away from every single customer conversation knowing. Those customers are thrilled with their technology choice. They're really happy with where they have landed in their capacity to reach the outcomes that they told 8x8 they needed to hit. All of those things, tick, 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 and tick. The technology was never the question. The reason why 8x8 won, I'm talking about 6 customers said the same exact thing. The reason why we picked 8x8 was because of, and they didn't just use some word like the people, the culture, we loved the team. They gave individual names of people on their team that they work with daily to achieve their goals. They are so tightly ingrained as partners that they can't imagine succeeding in their businesses without 8x8. That's what everyone wants to hear from their customers. That should be everyone's goal with their customer, not just I got a really great contract or you drove my price to the basement. It's that I've got you on speed dial because I know if I have something, if I have some challenge that I need to overcome, you guys are going to be there with me. So congratulations to 8x8 for that. And with that, I send you off into the weekend. Thanks so much. Hey, here's the deal. I'm at Canva next week, so then you know I'm going to have some thoughts on that. And then I'm off the road for 2 weeks, so don't bother me. Don't come asking me questions. Don't at me on this video. You can at me. You can totally ask me questions. It's totally cool. Listen, have a great weekend, you guys. Hope it's been a good one. Now I'm going to go take a nap.